In a small village nestled between the mountains, Jesus gathered his disciples under the shade of a magnificent old willow tree. The sun filtered through the leaves, casting gentle shadows on the ground. The air was filled with the sweet scent of blooming flowers, yet the villagers were burdened by stress and worry. They struggled to find peace amidst their daily toil. Their faces reflected a mixture of exhaustion and anxiety, as life had thrown many challenges their way. Seeing the concern etched on their faces, Jesus smiled warmly, his eyes twinkling with compassion. He sensed their unease and began to tell them a story, knowing that a parable could reveal deeper truths. Once upon a time, in a land not so different from ours, there stood a proud oak tree, strong and tall. It believed itself invincible, boasting to the other trees about its strength and endurance. "Look at me," it would say, "no storm can topple me. I am the mightiest tree in the forest." The disciples leaned in, captivated by the tale. Jesus continued, "Nearby, a humble willow tree listened quietly, bending gracefully in the wind, never seeking attention or pride. The willow admired the oak but felt a sense of sadness for its boastfulness, knowing that true strength lies in humility and adaptability. The villagers in the story watched as seasons changed, each one bringing its own trials. The oak, in all its grandeur, stood tall through the summer heat, but as winter approached, the willow bent low to avoid the heavy snowfall that threatened to break its branches. One year, Jesus continued, a fierce storm swept through the land. Dark clouds loomed overhead, and the wind howled like a pack of wolves. The oak, confident in its might, stood tall against the howling winds. "I will not be moved," it proclaimed defiantly. The disciples gasped, feeling the weight of the oak's fate. But the willow? It danced with the wind, bowing and bending, letting the storm pass over it. As the winds grew stronger, the oak began to crack and splinter, its pride causing it to resist the storm. Eventually, with a deafening crash, the oak fell, uprooted and broken. A heavy silence fell over the group. Some of the disciples exchanged worried glances, while others lowered their heads in contemplation. "Lord, how can we be like the willow?" one asked, his voice trembling with uncertainty. "We face storms of our own every day, worry, fear, and doubt. It feels so heavy sometimes." Jesus nodded knowingly, his expression gentle. "Life's storms are inevitable, my friends. Stress can feel like a relentless wind trying to uproot you. But remember the willow. It teaches us that resilience isn't about resisting the storms. It's about bending without breaking." The sun began to set, painting the sky with hues of orange and pink, creating a serene backdrop that seemed to echo the message of hope. Jesus continued, "When faced with challenges, embrace flexibility. Allow yourself to feel the winds of stress, but do not let them define you. Find joy in the simple moments, like the rustling of leaves or the laughter of children playing nearby." As he spoke, the disciples could see the willow's branches swaying gently above them, as if the tree itself was joining the conversation. One disciple recalled the struggles they had all faced together. Difficult days filled with uncertainty, times of doubt when hope seemed out of reach. "But Lord," he asked, "what if we bend too far? What if we lose ourselves in the process?" Jesus smiled, his eyes twinkling with wisdom. "Ah, my dear friend, bending does not mean losing yourself. It means understanding that life is a journey of growth. Just as the willow adapts to its surroundings, so too must you learn to adapt to the changes in your life. Embrace your emotions, let them flow through you like water, but do not let them drown you." The disciples felt a warmth in their hearts, a sense of calm washing over them. With each word, Jesus was weaving a tapestry of understanding, connecting their struggles to the story of the willow. He concluded, "Resilience is not the absence of struggle. It is the courage to keep going, to dance with the winds and to find joy in the journey. Like the willow, be gentle with yourselves. Accept your feelings, share your burdens, and support one another." As the last rays of sunlight faded, the disciples felt a newfound strength blossoming within them. Jesus turned to them, his radiant smile illuminating the twilight. You are never alone. Embrace each other's strengths and weaknesses, just as the willow stands with its roots intertwined with the earth. The air was filled with a palpable sense of hope. One disciple, filled with emotion, stood up and spoke, "Thank you, Lord. We will strive to be like the willow. We will bend, we will sway, but we will never break." The group shared knowing smiles, a bond forged in understanding and support. They began to share their own experiences of stress and resilience, recounting times they felt overwhelmed but chose to lean on one another. Laughter erupted as they shared stories of their misadventures, moments that could have crushed their spirits but instead became lessons of strength and unity. As darkness enveloped the village, the glow of lanterns flickered to life, casting a warm light on their faces. The disciples, filled with hope and renewed purpose, stood beneath the willow tree, feeling as if it had become a part of them. They understood that while storms would come, they could weather them together, bending but never breaking and always finding joy in the dance of life. Just then, a gentle breeze rustled the branches of the willow, carrying with it the sound of laughter from children playing nearby. The disciples looked toward the sound, and their hearts swelled with joy. In that moment, they realized that life's true beauty often emerged from the simplest of pleasures. As they walked away, the old willow stood tall and proud, a testament to the power of resilience, reminding all who passed that even in the fiercest storms, one could find peace and beauty by simply bending with grace. The villagers, inspired by the story, began to gather around, drawn by the warmth of the disciples' laughter. Jesus smiled, watching as they began to share their own stories of resilience, creating a tapestry of experiences that connected them all. The air was filled with hope, laughter, and the promise of new beginnings. Weeks passed and life in the village continued, but the lessons shared under the willow tree lingered in the hearts of the villagers. One day, a young woman named Miriam approached the disciples, her eyes filled with tears. "I have lost my way," she confessed. "The burdens of life feel too heavy, and I don't know how to carry them anymore." The disciples gathered around her, remembering the story of the willow. They comforted her, sharing their own moments of despair and the strength they found in each other. They encouraged Miriam to join them in their gatherings under the willow, where they would share their struggles and victories. As the days turned into weeks, more villagers came to the willow, seeking solace and community. They gathered to share their stories, their laughter echoing through the branches, and their tears nourishing the earth beneath. Each person contributed their own unique tale of resilience, and together they created a powerful tapestry of support. One evening, Jesus joined them once more. He listened intently to their stories, his heart swelling with pride for their growth. "Look at what you have built together," he said, gesturing to the group. "You have created a sanctuary of love and understanding. Just as the willow bends to the winds, you have learned to lean on one another, finding strength in your unity." As Jesus spoke, the disciples felt the weight of their burdens lifting. They had transformed their individual struggles into collective strength, a reminder that they were never alone. Miriam, now radiant with newfound hope, stood up and shared her journey. "I came to this tree feeling lost and broken, but you all welcomed me with open arms. In your stories I found pieces of my own. Thank you for reminding me of the beauty of resilience." Her words resonated with everyone present, and a wave of emotion swept through the group. They joined hands, forming a circle beneath the willow, and together they shared a moment of gratitude, celebrating their connection and the strength they found in vulnerability. However, not long after, a rumor spread through the village that a powerful storm was approaching, one unlike anything they had experienced before. The villagers' hearts sank, memories of the oak tree's downfall surfacing in their minds. Doubt crept in, and fear threatened to unravel the sense of community they had built. As the storm clouds gathered, the disciples gathered under the willow, where they had shared so much joy and wisdom. They faced the looming tempest together, uncertain of what lay ahead. Jesus addressed them, his voice steady and calm amidst the rising winds. "Remember the willow. This storm may be fierce, but it is not the end. Stand together and let your roots intertwine." With those words, the disciples found their resolve. They began to prepare for the storm, reinforcing the village and each other. They shared laughter amidst the preparations, weaving their fears into a tapestry of hope. As the storm approached, they sang songs of courage, their voices rising above the howling winds. When the storm finally hit, it was as if the world had turned upside down. The winds howled and rain poured down in torrents. Yet, the villagers, united beneath the protective branches of the willow, held on to one another. They leaned into the storm just as the willow had taught them. When the storm finally passed, they emerged to find the village battered but intact. The willow tree stood strong, its branches still swaying gracefully despite the tempest. The villagers rejoiced, tears of relief streaming down their faces. They had faced the storm together and they had survived. In the aftermath, they looked around at the destruction and realized that while some things had been lost, their bond had only grown stronger. They gathered under the willow once more, sharing their gratitude for each other and the lessons they had learned. To celebrate their resilience, the villagers decided to hold a festival beneath the willow. They invited everyone from the youngest child to the oldest elder to share their stories of strength and hope. The festival would honor the willow and the lessons it had imparted. On the day of the festival, the village was alive with laughter and music. Children danced, their joy infectious, while elders shared tales of their own struggles and triumphs. The air was filled with the scent of freshly baked bread and the sound of joyous chatter. As night fell, the villagers gathered around a large fire, its flames flickering like the stars above. Jesus stood before them, a gentle smile on his face. "Tonight we celebrate not just the willow but the resilience within each of you. You have transformed your challenges into strengths, finding beauty in your vulnerability and power in your unity." He then encouraged each villager to share a story of their journey. One by one they stood up, recounting moments of fear and doubt, but each story concluded with a message of hope and resilience. The laughter and tears that flowed were a testament to their shared humanity. As the night deepened, the fire crackled, casting a warm glow on their faces. Jesus concluded the evening by sharing one final thought. "Remember, my friends, life is like the changing seasons. Each storm brings growth and each challenge offers a chance to learn. Just as the willow bends in the winds, may you always find the strength to bend, to sway, and to dance through life's storms." The villagers erupted in applause, their hearts full of joy and gratitude. They felt an overwhelming sense of belonging, a community forged through shared experiences and mutual support. In the years that followed, the willow tree became a symbol of resilience for the village. People came from far and wide to hear the stories of the villagers who had faced their storms with grace. Children played beneath its branches, and elders shared their wisdom, ensuring that the lessons of the willow would continue to be passed down through generations. Miriam, who had once felt lost, grew to become a leader in the village, guiding others through their struggles and reminding them of the strength found in vulnerability. She often gathered the children under the willow, teaching them the tale of the oak and the willow, instilling in them the values of adaptability, compassion, and resilience. One day, as Miriam was teaching the children, an elder approached her. "Miriam, you have done a wonderful job leading our village. But I sense there is something troubling you. What weighs on your heart?" he asked gently. Miriam sighed. "I worry that I will not always have the strength to guide others. Sometimes I feel overwhelmed by my own challenges, and I fear that I may let them down." The elder placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. "Remember, my child, even the strongest trees need support. Seek guidance from those around you, and do not hesitate to lean on others when you need it. Just as the willow stands tall because of its roots, so too will you stand strong with the support of your community." Miriam nodded, feeling a sense of relief wash over her. She realized that true leadership was not about having all the answers but about fostering an environment where everyone felt safe to share their struggles and triumphs. As the seasons changed once again, another storm approached. The villagers had heard whispers of it, a storm that promised to be even more powerful than the last. Fear gripped their hearts, and the memories of past struggles resurfaced. Gathering under the willow, the villagers voiced their concerns. "What if the willow cannot withstand this storm?" one elder worried. "What if we lose everything we have built?" Miriam stepped forward, drawing strength from her own experiences. "I understand your fears, but let us remember what we learned. We have faced storms before, and together we have emerged stronger. It is not the strength of the tree that matters, but the strength of our roots and the bonds we share." With renewed determination, the villagers began preparing for the upcoming storm. They worked together, reinforcing their homes and gathering supplies. They shared stories and laughter, turning anxiety into solidarity. As the day of the storm arrived, the winds howled and the sky darkened ominously. The villagers huddled beneath the willow, their hearts pounding. Yet amidst the chaos they held hands, a circle of support and love. They shared their fears and hopes, finding solace in one another's presence. As the storm raged, the villagers experienced moments of doubt. But Miriam, inspired by the resilience of the willow, reminded them to stay grounded. "Let us remember to bend and sway just like the willow," she urged. "In our flexibility lies our strength." Just then, a peculiar calm settled over them as they entered the eye of the storm. For a brief moment, the winds quieted and the rain ceased. In that serene stillness, the villagers shared their dreams and aspirations, allowing their spirits to soar despite the tempest outside. The children, sensing the shift in the atmosphere, began to play games and laugh, their joy contagious. The adults, caught up in the children's exuberance, found themselves smiling despite the storm. In that moment, they realized that even amidst chaos, there was beauty to be found. When the eye passed, the storm hit once more ferociously than before. But this time the villagers stood firm, united in purpose and strength. They reminded one another to bend and adapt, and they supported one another through the fiercest winds. When the storm finally subsided, the villagers emerged to find devastation surrounding them. Many homes had been damaged and trees had fallen. But as they looked around, they realized that the willow stood tall, its branches swaying gently, undeterred by the tempest. The villagers cheered, tears of relief mingling with those of sorrow for what had been lost. They worked together to assess the damage, knowing that their bond would guide them through the rebuilding process. Miriam took charge, rallying the villagers. "We will rebuild not just our homes but our spirits. We have learned that our strength lies in unity. We will support one another as we have always done." Days turned into weeks, and the village began to recover. They shared resources, talents, and labor, and slowly but surely the village was reborn. Each act of kindness was a reminder of the strength they possessed together. During this time, the villagers gathered under the willow to share their stories of resilience and gratitude. They honored those who had lost homes and those who had stepped up to help others. As the village thrived once more, they established a new tradition, the Festival of Resilience. Each year they would celebrate their strength, sharing stories, laughter, and music beneath the willow tree. It became a time of reflection, gratitude, and community bonding. The festival drew visitors from neighboring villages, and the tales of the willow spread far and wide. People came to witness the strength of the tree and the spirit of the villagers who had faced storms together. During one festival, an elder from a distant village spoke of his own struggles. "I have traveled here to learn from you," he said. "Your resilience inspires me. I wish to take your stories back to my village to remind them of the power of unity." Miriam stood up, her heart swelling with pride. "We are all connected by our struggles. Let us share not only our victories but also our vulnerabilities. In doing so, we inspire others to find their own strength." As the sun set on the festival, the villagers and their guests gathered around the fire, sharing stories of hope and perseverance. They sang songs of gratitude, their voices rising into the night sky, echoing through the mountains. Years passed, and the willow continued to thrive, a symbol of resilience for all who visited. Miriam, now a respected elder, often sat beneath its branches, sharing the tales of the oak and the willow with the next generation. One day, a young boy named Samuel approached her. "Will I grow strong like the willow when I'm older?" he asked, his eyes wide with curiosity. Miriam smiled gently. "You will grow strong, Samuel, but strength comes from within. Just like the willow, you will face storms, but you will also find joy and laughter in the gentle breezes. Remember to lean on others and share your burdens. Together we can weather any storm." Samuel nodded, taking her words to heart. The villagers continued to gather under the willow, a community forged by love and resilience. They understood that their strength lay not in individual might but in their collective support for one another. As the village thrived, the wisdom of the willow spread even further. It reached distant lands, inspiring people to come together, share their struggles, and find solace in unity. Visitors began to arrive from various corners of the world, drawn by tales of the village's resilience and the wisdom shared under the willow. Each traveler left with stories of hope and love, spreading the lessons learned from the villagers to their own communities. In one such visit, a young woman named Elara arrived, carrying the weight of her own struggles. She had heard of the village's resilience and sought guidance. Upon arrival, she was welcomed with open arms. Miriam approached her, sensing her burden. "What troubles you, dear one?" she asked softly. Elara sighed, her voice trembling. "I feel lost. Life has thrown me into a storm, and I don't know how to find my way back." Miriam took her hand, leading her beneath the willow. "You are not alone. Share your story with us, and let us support you as we have supported one another." As Elara spoke, the villagers listened, their hearts empathetic to her pain. They shared their own experiences, reminding her of the beauty that can be found amidst struggles. With time, Elara began to heal, finding solace in the strength of the community. She decided to stay in the village, becoming an integral part of the tapestry of resilience woven beneath the willow. As seasons continued to change, the village thrived, each year bringing new stories, new faces, and new challenges. The willow stood tall, a living testament to the power of resilience. Miriam often reflected on her journey, grateful for the strength she had found in the community and the wisdom shared under the willow. She taught the children not only the stories of their past but also the importance of embracing the present and looking forward to the future. During one particularly vibrant festival, the villagers decided to plant new trees around the willow, symbolizing growth and continuity. Each tree represented a story of resilience, each branch a connection to their shared experiences. As the children planted saplings, Miriam shared, "Just as we have grown together, these trees will grow, reminding us of our strength and unity. They will tell our stories long after we are gone." As the years passed, the willow seemed to whisper to those who sat beneath its branches. Many claimed they could hear the rustle of the leaves carrying the voices of those who had come before, echoes of laughter, stories of hope, and lessons of resilience. One day, a storm approached once more, but the villagers faced it with courage. They gathered under the willow, holding hands and sharing their fears and hopes. Jesus returned to visit, witnessing the strength of the community. He smiled warmly at the villagers, his heart swelling with pride. "You have grown into a beacon of hope for many. Your resilience inspires not just your village but those who seek refuge in your wisdom." The storm came and went, but the villagers remained steadfast, united by their experiences. When the skies cleared, they emerged, ready to face whatever came next. As the legacy of the willow continued, people from far and wide visited, drawn by the stories of resilience. They sought to learn from the villagers, to understand how they had turned challenges into strengths. Elara, now a respected elder in her own right, often led workshops, teaching others about the importance of vulnerability and community support. She would tell the story of the willow and the oak, emphasizing that true strength lies in adaptability. The village transformed into a sanctuary for those seeking solace and guidance. People arrived with their burdens, and the villagers welcomed them, helping them find their own paths to resilience. As the years turned into decades, the village flourished and new leaders emerged. Young children who had grown up under the branches of the willow began to take on roles of guidance. They continued the traditions established by their elders, ensuring that the wisdom of the willow would never fade. During one gathering, a young girl named Lila stood before the villagers. "I want to tell a story," she announced, her voice trembling with excitement. The villagers leaned in eager to hear. "Once I was afraid of the storms, but then I learned that storms can bring rain and rain helps us grow. The willow doesn't fear the storm, it dances in the wind." Lila's words resonated with everyone, and they cheered her on, proud of her bravery. On a beautiful spring day, the villagers decided to unveil a new symbol of their journey, a wisdom tree. They planted a new tree beside the willow, one that would grow alongside it, representing the collective knowledge of the community. Miriam stood before them, her voice steady. "This tree represents our journey, our growth, and our commitment to one another. Just as the willow has withstood many storms, may we also find strength in each other." As they gathered around the new tree, each villager shared a lesson they had learned from their struggles. They tied colorful ribbons to the branches, each representing a story of resilience. Time passed, and the village became known as the Village of the Willow. People traveled from distant lands to learn from the villagers, to understand the importance of resilience, compassion, and community. One day, a scholar from a distant kingdom arrived, eager to document the stories of the villagers. He spent time beneath the willow, listening to the tales shared and the laughter that echoed through the air. As he prepared to leave, he approached Miriam. "Your village is a treasure trove of wisdom. I will share your stories far and wide, spreading the lessons of the willow to others." Miriam smiled, her heart filled with gratitude. "The true treasure lies in our connections. May your journey carry our stories to those who need them most." Years later, the village held its grandest festival yet, celebrating not only the legacy of the willow but the enduring spirit of its people. Families from all corners of the kingdom gathered, bringing food, music, and stories to share. As the sun set, the villagers lit lanterns, illuminating the night with a warm glow. They gathered around the fire, their hearts united in joy. Jesus returned, a familiar presence among them, and he smiled as he looked at the gathering. "Tonight we celebrate not just your resilience but the love that binds you together. You have transformed your struggles into strength, and in doing so, you have created a legacy that will endure for generations." With renewed energy, the villagers sang songs, danced, and shared stories long into the night. The air was thick with laughter, love, and the sweet scent of blooming flowers. As the years turned into a tapestry of memories, the willow tree stood tall, its branches a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. New generations continued to grow and learn beneath its shade, cherishing the stories of their ancestors. And so, the tale of the resilient willow became more than just a story, it became a way of life. It taught the villagers that storms would come, but it was how they faced those storms together that truly mattered. The old willow, with its graceful branches, whispered the stories of love, hope, and resilience to all who sought its shade. It became a sacred place where hearts healed, friendships blossomed, and spirits soared. The village thrived on the lessons of the willow, a living reminder that true strength lies not in standing alone but in bending together. And as the sun set behind the mountains, the laughter of children filled the air, echoing through the valley, a joyful symphony of life's endless possibilities. Thus, the legacy of the willow continued, a beacon of hope for all who would come, forever reminding them that even in the fiercest storms, there is beauty to be found in resilience, love, and community. This is end of the story. Please like this video and subscribe this channel for more Jesus story like this. May the God watch over you.